Good. All right. We have everybody in the house. Okay, guys, so we're about to get started. Well, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody, and welcome to Short Film Saturday. My name is Mika Cooper Edwards. I'll let my co host Nasi introduce herself.
I'm Nase DeSanders.
Yeah, and we are Soleil. We are here today with two filmmakers who we'll introduce in a bit. Our first filmmakers from Argentina and Brazil, respectively. So we're super excited about that. And the first time that we have film screening from filmmakers from those countries as well. So this is two firsts for Short Film Saturdays, which we always love because it takes us into a new realm. But just quickly, for those of you who aren't familiar with Soleil, I should introduce the company and kind of what our mission is. So Soleil is a media company based in New York, and our goal, our mission really is to elevate the transcultural stories of the global South diasporas. So really looking at people of color around the world and the diasporas of Africa, Asia, Latin America, the Caribbean, and the Middle East. And our goal is really to elevate not just the stories, but the creators of content from these cultures and really form closer transcultural bonds between the creator community and expose our audiences to content that they typically just will not see in the mainstream media. So some of you might know us from our podcast, Soleil Spotlight, which really was more of an in-depth interviewing of creators from the global South diasporas. And we ran into kind of questions about like, okay, we're hearing about the work that they did, but where can we see it? And this is how Short Film Saturdays was born. So what we decided to do was create a screening series that would allow people to not just hear from the creators about making their work, but actually see the work. So this started last year, and we're super excited. I think we're now on we've done over 10 films so far, right, Nasi? Am I
I believe so,
right?
yeah.
I'm losing count. So I'll just kick it off to Nasi, and she's going to introduce our guest today, our guest filmmakers.
Awesome. So, I'm not sure if it's the same for guys, but if it's the same, right below me, we have Franco Volpi. After majoring in journalism at his native Buenos Aires, and driven by his passion for film, Franco moved to Alicante, Spain in 2012, which feels like a bajillion years ago, but it was only 10 years ago, guys. Wow. Where he studied for 2 years at Escuela de Cine Ciudad de la Luz under acclaimed Basque director Pablo Berger. Gained his BA in film directing, and then he moved to the UK to complete an MA in filmmaking at the London Film School. Then he graduated with distinction in May 2018, and Franco's graduation film, August Sun, or Sol de Agosto, that we'll be seeing today, is an autobiographical art house drama about a son living abroad and reconnecting with his mentally ill mother. It was nominated for the Student Academy Award, shortlisted for a BAFTA Student Film Award, and it won over a dozen top awards and was officially selected at 40-plus international film festivals. So we're super excited to see it, obviously. Franco's lived and studied and worked in Argentina, the US, Austria, Spain, and the UK, and today he's living in London. Then, right next to him, we've got my fellow blonde, Dimitri Yuri. He's a Brazilian screenwriter-director based in Doha, Qatar. And after graduating from the Virginia Commonwealth University, majoring in art history, he began writing and directing commercials for a variety of reputable companies such as Qatar Airways, Netflix, and TikTok. Dimitri also created and directed a pilot for Al Jazeera an Arabic variety show called About Cinema, which is now in its second season. His feature script, Blood on the Root, won the Golden Prize at the 2018 Page International Screenwriting Awards, and his short narrative film, Falling Leaves, received nominations and awards from a variety of international film festivals, as well as being featured on Short of the Week. Woohoo! Dimitri's currently, he works as a writer-director for The Film House, a Qatar-based production company, and we cannot wait to see what he's got coming up next. So, we're super excited for today, right? Franco and Dimitri, do you guys want to say anything else in your intros? You feel like I covered it all?
I think you did a great job. I have nothing to add.
Oh, no. Who's gone? Oh, Franco.
I think Franco's gone.
Franco dropped off.
How's
It's
my
because my
audio, by the
introduction
way?
was so good.
Is my
He's like,
audio
why do I
okay?
even need to be here? We'll wait for him to hop back in. No problem, no problem. While we're waiting for him, I'll give a quick run of show. How is today going to work? Short Film Saturday is super easy. Don't even worry about it, but I'm going to make it sound very complicated. So we just did our introductions. What's going to happen next is I'm going to drop an a YouTube live link in the comment section. I'm going to drop it in the comments, but also it's in our bio here on Instagram. You just click on the link and then it's going to take you over to YouTube. Over on YouTube, we'll be live streaming the 2 short films. You'll watch those, and then when that's done, you can come right back over here to Instagram, where we will hold the Q&A. So again, I'm going to drop the link in the comments, but it's also in our bio. You just click on the link and you can watch the films, and then come back here and we have our Q&A. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Alrighty, let's hop right into it then. I'm also gonna pin the link, don't worry. Dropping the link now, and again, it's in our bio as well. Everyone head on over to the link. We're not gonna do anything over here, don't worry, you won't miss anything. You can head right over to the link, watch the films, and then we have our Q&A. Okay, let's jump in with the questions. I'll be messaging Franco on the side here so we can get him back in, of course. We'll hop right in with Dimitri, your short, wonderful documentary. So what made you want to make a documentary on the artist M.F. Hussein to begin with?
Yeah, so usually documentaries, it starts with a burst of inspiration and you put it to test. For us, it was a commission. So the Qatar Foundation, the institution that is in charge of handling State of Art, the actual installation, they approached us and said, we want to create a documentary that is going to kind of tell his life story, culminating into this art installation. But I knew MF Hussein from before, of him, obviously not the man himself. I learned about him in university, and I had a fascination for just his persona, his way of being. And when I got the opportunity to actually, work on researching his life and putting a documentary together, I felt like everything just fit together really well.
Awesome, awesome. No, it's super great when everything could just kind of perfectly come together like that. Very, very cool. So considering how famous he is, was it difficult to pull together the people
Sorry,
who you
Nancy.
interviewed? Yeah.
Nancy, sorry, we can't see you.
You can't see me?
Yeah, I don't see you.
Really? I can see me.
Yeah, I don't see you either.
Uh-oh. Okay, let's turn the camera off and then on in. How about now?
No, still nothing.
Yeah, still not seeing you.
Oh boy. Oh no. What's going on with Instagram Live today? We are struggling. Okay, I can't turn this off and back on again without ending the live.
Okay, well that's
So
okay. You could keep going, or I could ask those questions if.
okay, yeah, we'll just keep going without my face.
Yeah,
Everyone
you
knows I'm
keep going.
adorable, so it's totally fine.
Yeah.
So back to where we were. Considering how famous he is, was it difficult for you to pull together your interview subjects, or was everyone leaping at the chance to chat about this with you?
I think everyone understood the importance of this last installation for his legacy and his body of work. So everyone was really excited to be a part of it. It was also something that was in the works for a long time, and there was a lot of investment for it to even become a reality. So everyone involved which was great, to get to interact with MF Hussein's son and his daughter-in-law and people that have worked with him, and been part of his artistic journey their whole lives. They can tell us insider information. It was great.
So,
amazing.
Dimitri, just really quick, just a quick follow-up on that. I just want to jump in on that. As a Brazilian filmmaker, is it that you've always been kind of curious or passionate about, Indian culture or the Middle East, or, how did that come about as somebody who grew up in Brazil?
Yeah, so the regional side of things was completely coincidental. I moved to Doha to follow my family because they were working there, and then I just kind of discovered my own thing there and decided to stay. But my interest for, in art has been around since forever. I majored in art history, so it was already an area of interest. So even if I maybe wasn't as familiar with Indian culture, when I moved to Doha, for example, I would probably have heard of MF Hussein at some point, just because he's so influential, at least in half of the world.
Right. Okay. All right. So what I think was really interesting about this piece is the context of his life, that showed, it showed his perspective as a migrant artist, right? Who, of course, as we saw, was like really controversial. And he was a hero in India, but he was also super controversial. I guess it would depend on who you speak to, which will be interesting to hear, kind of like from your perspective, what reactions you were getting on the ground, as what he evoked. But you touched on it a little bit in the film. I think it was in 2006 that he moved to the Middle East, right, to Qatar. Could you share some deeper insights into kind of what made him make that move and what was happening in Indian society at the time that kind of expelled him, so to speak?
Let me unmute myself. So there were a bunch of factors that caused him to go. He made some paintings. He had made some paintings a long time before that, that were later kind of uncovered and considered to be controversial, mostly for like political reasons and stuff like that. So that was part of it. There was a lot of I guess, friction between a sect of the Indian culture and Indian population and his work. But also, he was just excited to get out, to do something different. This is something that I learned through the process of the documentary, because the story that's usually told is like he was exiled and politically persecuted. But when you talk to his family, you realize that he was actually just really excited to get inspiration from a completely new place. And I understand that motivation.
Okay. And why do you think you just kind of made that comment that half of the world knows about him? Even as somebody who belongs to that half of the world, I didn't know about him before seeing this film. So for me, it was like super fascinating. And not coming from the art history circles and from those elite art circles, why do you think many people in the West, outside of those circles and the Indian diaspora, have never heard about MF Hussein or don't know that much about him as we might know about the Italian artists and some of these other big names?
I think it takes time, and he comes from a place where modern artists weren't necessarily acknowledged in the same way. Like, modern art is a very specific movement that has a very specific time and place, right? At least in mainstream art historical circles. You think of a specific city, you think of a specific decade, a specific group of people, but it's much broader than that, right? MF Hussein was completely changing modern art on its head all the way in India, and now we're kind of hearing about it, even though he was very popular during his lifetime as well. I think with time, it's going to happen. He has his art is very universal and accessible. I think he wanted everyone to really like his stuff. He wanted to connect with people on that level. So I do think it will happen eventually. It just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah. And
hopefully documentaries like this help, and the installation Cetaphil Art helps kind of bring that attention to it.
Well, that's what I was just gonna ask, is about that last installation. Like, what was it? Because I'm guessing you ran out of space and time to go too deep into that. But what was it really about? What was it? What did it say? It was gorgeous, right? But could you tell us a little more about what that piece of art represented?
Yeah, absolutely. So we didn't want to give away everything about that installation, because kind of the purpose of the short was to instigate curiosity, right? To make you want to go, and basically presenting the story of his life and up until that point. But it's a very expensive and huge and complex installation that requires the whole building to move, basically, for the cars and the horses and all of that. And I think it's like a $55 million project or something like that. And it really, I mean, you see in the film underneath, there's all, you know, the whole mechanism of the building is insanely complicated. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in the art world. But it is the culmination of all his concerns and all his, you know, thematic, I guess, thematic concerns as an artist. The idea of movement, the idea of society moving forward and technology and all of this. So you see, you know, it go from horses to cars and seeing this move of humanity and all the things that he witnessed. Because he's a guy that saw the progress of humanity for a very long time, you know. He was on this earth for a while, and he got to see all these transformations. Part of the title, the reason behind the title as well, it's an excerpt from the Quran that says, travel through the earth and experience how he began creation, basically. So the installation is kind of, you know, what MF Hussein has seen in his lifetime and what he thinks or he's projecting for the future, but basically an account of someone who witnessed a lot and loved witnessing things.
We're just kind of trying to get Franco in. Franco, if you could hear us, send us a request to join again, and let's see if that works.
Mika, he can't, because on my end it's saying that he never left. He did leave, he logged off and back on, but on my end it says he's still here, so I can't have him join because it says he's never left, essentially.
Is it possible to kick him out and then ask him to rejoin?
It's not giving me the option to kick him out or any of you out but let's see. Oh no, here we go. Haha, there we go. All right. Kicking him out. Okay, and then we'll... Can you still not see me?
No, not yet.
No, bummer. Okay, we're letting Franco back in. The anticipation. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Now we don't have Mika either. Apparently Instagram has been glitching all week, so Franco?
All right, we got everybody.
But Franco, can you hear us? No.
Still nothing? We can't hear you either.
Hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you. Are you muted?
You can write down your answers and hold them up.
Maybe you put your comments in the chat because we can't hear you. Okay. He hopped off again. So maybe we could get it better this time. Dimitri, so sorry. This is not
No worries, no worries.
Yeah.
I'll leave you guys with some Brazilian landscapes in the meantime.
Yeah. Is that the sea? Do we see the sea?
It's very rainy here today, so
Ah,
this,
okay,
this is
okay.
the view. It's the sea and mist, and it's very moody. It would be great to make a movie here.
Yeah. Okay, okay. All right. Well, we'll just kind of wrap up with Dimitri then, because it seems like we're having a challenge with Franco and his IG, which is a bummer because, you know, this Sol de Agosto was such a great film, and there's so many great questions that we had for him. But we'll just continue with you, Dimitri, and then we'll, like, you know, just kind of open it up in case the audience has any questions. Is that all right?
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. We may just have to screen Franco's film again, so he has his opportunity to do the Q&A with the audience. So, Franco, if you're listening, we're going to make this happen again because IG wasn't kind to us today. All right. Nasa, you there? He said
I
it's all
am.
Mark Zuckerberg's fault. It is. It is. All right. So one really important thing that I think we wanted to ask both of you actually is, you know, you're living somewhere far from where you're born, right? So for people who don't know, Franco is actually in Vienna in Austria, and Dimitri is in Qatar, right? Do you find, Dimitri, greater artistic inspiration from your current surroundings and where you're from? And do you think that shows up more in your art?
That's a tough one. I think it's a mixture between the two. There are some stories that can be set anywhere. Some stories can be set only in Doha, and some stories can be set only in Brazil. At least in my mind, when I'm writing them and thinking of them. Being away from Brazil for so long, definitely. When I come back, I definitely feel a lot of inspiration from the city, just because I've forgotten so much about it. I forgot what life here is like. So I'm in Brazil now for 2 weeks visiting family. Ever since the pandemic started, I haven't come back. So this is there's a lot of ideas that are coming to me right now just from being here. But usually I prefer to write stories, the stories that are like in between. You know, it can be kind of anywhere. I don't really specify where it takes place. People speak with different accents, and we never really, you know, explain,
Mm,
you know, where they're from, what their nationality is. Um, but which is why I guess making a documentary, which is something so specific, and you have to base it on research, and it's not just a, you know, a straight narrative, was a great change of pace for me. It's not. I usually don't think in those terms.
right. Okay. You have some people from Rio shouting you out,
Yeah,
Dimitri. I
yeah.
don't know if you see that.
We're bringing Rio to life. Brazilians have a tendency to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. And what would you say was the inspiration behind the title? You know, Cero de Art, if I
Yeah.
pronounce it correctly.
It's difficult.
So
I struggle with it too.
yeah. So you know, translate that literally for us, right? And tell us what the inspiration was behind, you know, choosing that title for the film.
Yeah. So it's part of an excerpt from the Quran, and Sirf al-Ad means travel the earth or travel through the earth. Um,
Mm.
and I, I mean, obviously, it's Ahmed Hussein was a deeply religious person, even though he didn't necessarily show it. But you know, deep down spiritually, he was really concerned with a lot of those themes, and you can see it shine through in his art. But I guess it's a culmination of everything he has seen, you know. And he's a person that has traveled the earth barefoot most of the time, you know, really in contact with what is here, what is reality, what is the world, humanity, and our history. And this is his kind of like final account of everything he's seen, what inspires him, what he thinks is going to happen, what, you know, what's important about what has happened already.
Okay. Nasa, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So you got to work with a wonderful cinematographer that without a doubt aided in the storytelling and aided in showing us how beautiful the art was. What was it like working with your cinematographer? And you can name drop them as well, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So the cinematographer is Christopher Moon. He's a full-time cinematographer at the company that I work for, the Film House. And I mean, we work together every week, right? So we know each other really well. We know each other's style really well. But for this one, we got to do some different things. You know, I always try to get him to shoot something 4x3, but we never get the chance to do that because most of the time we're shooting commercials and stuff. So I finally got my square aspect ratio to shine through. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah, I love it. Love that. That was awesome. It was so beautiful. It was
I appreciate it. I
gorgeous.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
There's a way of framing things in 4x3 that is really inspiring to me. I always prefer, I guess, the way it looks. And I mean, it references also the paintings that he used to do, and also the whole film has this slideshow presentation style, which I thought was, you know, appropriate if we're doing an overview of his life and moving fast through things. I want it to feel like a presentation, like an art history presentation, for example. So yeah, Chris. I mean, I work with him for I've worked with him for so long that now we just kind of we understand each other very well. You know, if I explain the scene to him, he knows exactly the kinds of ideas that I'm gonna connect with, and I know exactly the kinds of ideas that he's gonna connect with as well. We loved doing the recreations. You know, getting someone to dress up as MF Hussein and creating these like abstract representations was great. And everyone in the office was also giving us ideas. My boss, Justin Kramer, the CEO of the film house, I probably stole like 2 or 3 frames from him, but I'm not going to give him credit for that. But he knows.
And what's the name of the film house that you
it's called
work with?
The Film House. Yeah.
Oh, the film house. Okay.
Yeah.
Based in Qatar?
Based in Qatar, yeah.
Ah, awesome.
You
Awesome.
guys should check out some of the other stuff we have. It's mostly commercials, but every once in a while we get to do something more narrative-based, more documentary-based like this.
And would you say that that is kind of your leaning? Because, one question that we do have is, what's next for you? You know, what do you have coming up that you could talk about? No pressure. But, are you looking to do like a feature film or, more documentaries in the future? Like, we're really curious to see what's going to come from you, because this was an excellent first step. If it,
I really appreciate it. It means a lot. I don't think about documentaries necessarily in the same way. I don't know. I think I would have to have something that just comes to me that it hasn't come to me now for me to do another documentary. But in terms of narrative, I always, you're always having short film ideas, feature film ideas. I've written a few features that I think, could become something, but they're just very expensive to make and kind of impossible to make in Doha, especially. One is a Western.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it will probably be
a Brazilian Western or a Qatari Western?
No, it takes place in Austin. It's a serial killer Western. My references are all over the place. So
love it.
That's very cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Now's the time. We're in a slasher resurgence.
Sorry?
Now's the time. We're in a slasher resurgence, and to mix it with a Western sounds perfect.
Right? Yeah, now it is the time. Absolutely. I'll try to get it going in Qatar. I just need to find some people with the southern accents in Doha. So we can make it happen.
Oh yeah.
All right. So Nasir, you want to open up?
Yeah, we want to open the floor to audience questions. Anyone that has questions, please submit them below. Let us know what you're thinking. Any questions you have for Dimitri. And while we're waiting for people to type those up, Dimitri, how can we find you? How do we keep up with you? What are all your social media handles? Website, if you have one, let us know.
Yeah, so mostly I think to see my work, you would go on Vimeo. I post all my work there. My best work. Some of the stuff is not there because I would not like the world to see. But you can find some of the stuff that I really like on my Vimeo page, and then just Instagram. I use mostly Instagram. So yeah, I always post about the new upcoming projects as well. There's a few commercials coming out soon that I'll post here as well on Instagram.
Awesome. All right, so we already have our first question from Evie919. The question is, Dimitri, do you want to continue your filming career in Qatar or move it somewhere else? Also, is it hard starting a career in Qatar to begin with?
Not a lot of people, I guess, get used and get sucked into, living in Qatar, but I kind of did. And the more, time passes, the more I realize that I might stay there for a little bit longer. I really like the place. I really like my life there, and creatively, it's very fulfilling as well, getting to work at the film house. So originally, I had this idea that I wanted to be just a straight, screenwriter, only write, and then see my films maybe get made. And then the film house kind of pushed me to start directing and trying different things, and I appreciate that. I think I would stay there for a little bit longer. And honestly, I mean, if you're getting to tell stories that you're proud of, it doesn't matter where you are, really. I mean, if I have a story that I really need to go to the United States or to Brazil to tell, maybe I'll do that. But yeah, I think I can find stories that motivate me and move me anywhere that I am, really.
Can I jump in on that really quick? So I'm curious, just from the production standpoint. Is there like a lot of evolution from a film production standpoint happening in Qatar right now? Like, is that something that's kind of picking up, or a wave that's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved to Qatar almost 10 years ago, like 9.5 years ago. And back then they were already gearing up for the World Cup, right? 2022, which they won the bid maybe a year before I went. And the whole country's infrastructure is based on this year, this magical year of 2022 that we just entered. So everything is kind of speeding up, leading up to the World Cup. You're getting to see a lot more projects. You're getting to see a lot more videos being done, a lot more films, and more, worldwide attention. They're establishing an entertainment city, which is an area of Doha dedicated solely to, making films.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's the benefit of living in a country like the Gulf. There's a lot of investments. Any Gulf country like Doha, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of investment in those things.
Any more questions, Nasi, from the audience?
Yes, we have another audience question. Is working in the Middle East restrictive of some of your movie ideas, like creative limitations? Are there any creative limitations?
There are. I think there are more logistical limitations. Like, for example, the biggest limitation I find is finding good actors that can, represent what I want to represent. Because maybe you need a person of a particular background that you can't find there. You can find someone who's a good actor, but they have a British accent, and you want to have someone who's more from a different part of the world to tell a different story. Impossible to find. But it's growing. And culturally, I think if you explain your idea well, people will get excited. My last narrative short film featured, a cadaver, like semi-nude for the whole film. And it screened in, national film festivals and stuff. And although some people were a bit, like looking away, overall, I think the reception was good. So more and more it's opening up in that sense. People are getting used to Western content and getting excited that those things are being made in Doha.
Okay. I think we also did see a question in the comments thread really on where somebody was asking about your creative process.
In general?
Yeah, they just asked, what is your creative process?
It's in bursts. I wish I could be, that writer that sits down every day and writes 3 pages, 500 words or something like that. I spend months without writing anything, and then something will happen, an idea will come, and then I'll finish the script in a day. That's for narrative, documentary, stuff that I do on the side. If it's, related to work at the film house, then I have no choice. You receive a brief, you have to write it that day. And usually that's okay because it's short form, so you can put a bunch of ideas into, small amounts of time. It's just having to marinate with the script for a long time is difficult. You start noticing the flaws a bit too much. If you write a script and you wait 2 weeks and you read it again, you're like, I don't know if I like this at all. I want to try something new. A lot of times that happens.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Like I could think of quite a few filmmakers that we're working with that, they're kind of stuck on their scripts and have rewritten the scripts like 4 or 5 times over like 2 years, and we're like, go with your initial gut instinct, right? That's probably the most pure and the most authentic and the most
Yeah.
powerful, right? But I think many people are like you. They get their creativity in Bruce. I don't think there's one right way to do it anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, I don't know, at least the great writers that I know, they're really good at rewriting. And I just happen to be awful at rewriting. So I have to depend on other things. You know, I have to depend on that initial kind of impulse. Because, yeah, rewriting to me is a nightmare. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if it's something long, like a feature, you know, it's like a domino. You remove one domino from the first
Exactly.
scene,
You
you
have to
have to
move all the
adjust everything.
pieces around. Yeah.
My God,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, we'll take one last audience question if there are any, and then we'll wrap up with Dimitri.
No, there's no other audience questions in the submission box.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys for those great questions. We're super excited. Dimitri, this was very good. Despite our little technical difficulties, this was really awesome, and the film was just beautiful. Like, it was fascinating in so many ways. On a cultural level, it was on a just like visual. You know, I think you nailed everything that you articulated was your goal going into making it.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I can't explain to you how much that means to me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and the responses we're seeing, I think everybody echoes that sentiment.
It's great to hear.
All right, Nasi will take us home.
Alrighty, so our next short film Saturday is January 22nd, and we'll be meeting with Dean C. Marshall from the Philippines and Moises Eisenberg from Mexico. We've got some super awesome short films to watch, and we are launching our official YouTube channel. You guys can check out, we're going to put the link in our link tree in our bio soon, so check that out. You can like and subscribe on both the YouTube page and our Instagram page here. And if you guys are interested, if you're a filmmaker watching right now, you're interested in joining Short Film Saturday, we do have a Film Freeway account. You can check out the link on our website. So, thank you so much for being here, Mika and Dimitri. Any parting
Thank
words before
you.
we sign off?
I think you guys should really watch Franco's film again and ask him all kinds of questions because it's a great
Yeah.
piece. That's
Yeah,
my last update.
Absolutely.
we're definitely going to do that. And just as Nase said, like, we're moving the events to YouTube, so everything will be on YouTube.
Nice.
Which I think this last one kind of like validated, because we were always a little bit like, oh, the IG live is so interactive, you know. But yeah, so we're gonna definitely have Franco's film screen again for everybody who loved it and want to hear from him. We'll definitely make that happen. But Dimitri, like, it was good that we got the space and time to talk about yours. So this is
Sounds
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for
Absolutely.
filmmakers, I should mention this. The link in bio to submit, as Nasi said, in terms of our criteria and all of that, the goal is to showcase short films, 30 minutes or less. And it has to be not distributed anywhere. And of course, your own work, and you have to be the director or writer. You're free to bring in other creative members of your team to talk to it. But we're open to submissions from the global South diasporas, right? So if you're a person of color anywhere in the world, we want to hear from you and see what work you would like to showcase with us. All right. Thanks, everybody. Oh,
sorry. You go ahead.
no, that was it. That was it. You go ahead.
All right, so we will see you guys not next week, the week after next, January 22nd, for our next Short Film Saturday. Until then, we are signing off.
Bye-bye.